部屋の隅で私は私を忘れてく砂嵐みたいなテレビを眺めながら遠くで泣いてたサミの声もいつの間にか聞こえなくなったな。ただ静かになってゆく世界で僕を脱にいただけ。同じ今日ただ繰り返すだって鳩の外雨上がりの匂いがした忘れていた何かを叩き起こすように夕濁が過ぎ去った後の空は世界の輪郭を全部にじませていた。明日の目が僕をまた知らない顔でうまく笑えるのかな。忘れたくないのにこの匂いがもう夏は終わりだと告げてるんだ。本当は僕帰るならもう季節が過ぎるのをただ怖がっていただけなんだ。伸びた前髪が邪魔になったから明日あたりに切りに行こうかな。そうやってまた同じ明日が何も変えずに僕の今日を食べていく。水たまりの上棍棒の影が横切ってゆくのをただ見てたの。夏に置いてきたものはなんだっけ。跳ねた泥で靴が汚れただけ。そんな思考が頭を巡ってる。夕暮れが僕の影を長くする。世界から音が消えたみたいだ。引きつくるだ中に交差点静かな川が流れる。魂揺れ動き冷たい月明かりもいない交差点静かな川が流れる。魂揺れ動き冷たい月明かりの下 I'm so searching in the nice embrace Moonlight the only source in this face Drunken haze is full with grace Love and hope matching in the sea's embrace Not so searching in the nice embrace Moonlight the only source in this space In drunken haze Tears fall with grace of earth and hope matching this sea's embrace 懐かしい遠い場所の感情さんさんと照りつける日差しに溶けそう風の色は青空歩いてきた足跡かなりで悩ましい道魂が信念も感じる誰にも期待されないとして I'm so searching in the nice embrace Moonlight the only source in this space Drunken haze is full with grace Love and hope matching in the sea's embrace Drunk and hazy is full with grace. Love and hope matching in the season break. 親しい遠い場所の感情酸素照りつける日差しに溶けそう。風の色は青空。歩いてきた足跡。足りて悩ましい道。魂が信念を感じる。誰にも期待されないとし競争政治にもないembrace Moonlight the only souls in this space Drunk and hazy is full with grace Love and hope matching
Hello. It says you're muted, Steph. You gotta click like the microphone icon or something to unmute.
Of course, Discord needed me to allow a microphone to be used on this site.
Okay.
I don't know why that would be an option, but hello.
Hello, Steph. How you doing?
Why are you late?
Because I was sleepy. I'm exhausted. I slept. I woke up late.
All right.
Why are you always late?
I'm never late. I was here on time. I've been waiting for 9 minutes. Constantly on time.
Constantly.
So on time, it's embarrassing.
Yeah. Let me pause the music. Share my screen. Where's the button for that? Here it is. Okay. Screen 1. Share. Copy. Paste. Move this
Shrimp.
You see my screen?
I can.
All right, just chatting. What does this thing say? Oh, yes. Okay. This is read, I guess, this part and then read the caption above after.
What am I reading?
The headline?
Oh. Crocodiles can fly.
No, can't.
Can't fly. Birds can. Scientists have finally figured out why.
And then the caption up here from the person.
Me nodding knowingly. The beaks.
Yeah. I have no idea what could this article possibly be about.
I assume it means why the lineage of crocodiles can't fly. Or the lineage of birds can. Given that they both evolved from thunder lizards.
Thunder lizards.
Dinosaurs?
Okay. Is that what they're called? Thunder lizards?
That's what dinosaur translates to.
Dinosaur. Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
What about spiral wing?
What about spiral wing?
Wing, yeah. It's what helicopters translates to.
Gotcha.
You don't know this meme?
You know what is happening is I'm trying to log into the chat and Discord has sent me a 6-digit code, supposedly, except that they haven't sent it, so I'm looking for it. I'm trying to do that while you're talking about helicopters or whatever, except I can't find it, so I don't think I can sign into the chat from this.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Now I can look at the screen again, and what is it you wanted me to answer?
Spiral wing is what is translated from helicopter.
Okay.
And
but not heliocopter.
No.
Not sun.
Yeah, so I did it wrong on purpose to play like the dumb guy, and I was baiting you to correct me. Spiral wing is helico and pter. Right? Like pterodactyl.
Right. Right.
It's just like Wing's finger, I guess.
Right.
Anyway, I was trusting you to land a joke for me, but oh well.
I didn't. Sorry. I'm also getting texts about medical results at the same time. This is what happens when you come late.
You would have gotten a text during the stream anyway if I had come on time.
No, this is all your fault for coming late. Only explanation.
I got into. I mean, my default word for it is argument, but I feel like that has a negative connotation that I don't want to imply. I got an argument, a debate, I guess, with somebody online, about
Okay.
quantum immortality.
Okay.
Like, what is quantum immortality?
Why don't you tell us?
Okay, quantum immortality is I don't know what to call it, a belief, a thought, an idea, and it relies on as axioms. It assumes a multiple world interpretation of quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and the entropic principle. So, what is multiple world interpretation?
What?
What is the multiple world
What did you
interpretation?
say?
What is the multiple world
Can you
interpretation?
back up and tell me the whole sentence that you said, because I literally think I blacked out during that because there were so many words. What?
Quantum immortality is a concept that relies on two other axioms. The first axiom is multiple world interpretation of quantum mechanics, and the second is the entropic principle.
Okay.
Okay, so what is multiple world interpretation of quantum mechanics?
It's the idea of parallel universes, right? That
Yeah.
every time something happens where there's one or more possibility or two or more possibilities for the outcome, which is like basically everything, all of those outcomes happen and each one spawns off its own universe.
Yeah, that's
Or
basically
stuff
it.
continues to happen in them. Okay.
That's correct, and I think lay people underestimate what we mean by like every time something happens, and you were sort of
Right.
hinting at that. You were just reading that. So, for example, like a particle could be, here, or it could be like 1 nanometer to the left of that. Well, that's two possibilities, right? There could be 3 nanometers to the left of that, 4 nanometers, 5 nanometers, and so on. All of those are different possibilities, right? So, like, they're like, even if the universe consisted of like a single particle, there would still be like trillions and trillions of possibilities, right? But then like the universe has more than one particle, and so it's even more complicated than that.
The universe does have more than one particle.
Yeah.
At least this one does.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point, because there's some universe out there where there is only one particle, right? Because that would be one of the possibilities. Anyway, okay, so that's multiple world. What about entropic principle? What is the entropic principle?
Is the anthropic principle the solution to the problem of why the universe contains life at all?
Yeah, I wouldn't phrase it as the solution, but I think it sounds like you do know what it is because you're gesturing at the right direction.
Okay.
So go ahead.
This is how I understand it, which is that it's tricky to figure out why the universe contains life. And the anthropic principle is that the universe contains life because the universe is set up in a way that allows life to exist. Although there's other forms of the anthropic principle, but because life exists, the universe was set up in such a way that life exists.
Yeah, okay, so
I don't think I'm phrasing it right, but I'm close.
Yeah, the way I would phrase it is the anthropic principle is the idea that you would only observe universes where your existence is possible.
Right.
So the thing that you're gesturing at with the universe and life and all that, the idea is like the universe has to be a very precise way for life to exist. Like if the ratio of the mass between the proton and the neutron were like just a tiny bit different, then chemistry would work completely differently. Complex molecules would not be able to form, and so biological life would not be able to form. And there's lots of things like this. Like there's lots of the ratio to mass is one, but there's like I think maybe like 30 or 40 different parameters, like numbers that you can set
Yeah,
when
something about
creating a
like
universe. And
gravity. Yeah.
and they all have to be like just right, or else life wouldn't work. And so the idea is like, well, what are the odds that they would be exactly these numbers, right? It's like if you're picking the numbers randomly, it would be very unlikely that the numbers would be these values.
Right.
But the idea is like, if the numbers were some other value, then life wouldn't exist. So none of us would be around here to be asking, hey, like to observe it, to say like, oh, look, the numbers are completely random as expected. No, like,
That's what I was trying to mean by the fact that life exists means that the universe is such that life can exist.
Yeah. Okay, so you take those two ideas together and you combine them and you get quantum immortality.
I don't, but explain how one could.
So the quantum immortality is basically concluding that you specifically are immortal. Like you will never observe yourself dying. So, for example, let's say you play Russian roulette, right? Like you load up a gun, a revolver with 6 chambers. You put 5 bullets in, and you leave 1 blank, and you spin it, and you point to your head and pull the trigger. Well, in 5 out of 6 of the universes, you'll die, right? You'll get shot. But in one of them, you'll survive, and that's the one you'll observe. Right? You won't be around to observe the other ones.
What?
Because of the entropic principle, right? Like, so, like right now, there's like trillions and trillions of copies of you in going, observing the different timelines of via the multiple world interpretation of quantum physics.
Right.
And in some of them, you end up dying, right? Because something happens. I don't know, like a stray meteor comes out of the sky, hits you, lightning bolt, you get cancer, whatever, right?
Why am I only dying in some of the universes? Don't I die in every universe?
I meant right now. Like let's take this as a certain point. So at this point in time, then 1 millisecond later, there's like trillions of copies of you, right? Because there's trillions of things that happen in the universe, like the particles are moving around.
Mm-hmm.
And in some of them, you remained alive in the next millisecond, and in some of them you died in the next millisecond.
Okay.
Maybe I say you died because maybe a stray meteor came out of the sky and hit you, or lightning bolt or anything, right? But you don't notice those universes. You don't observe that because of the entropic principle. You only notice the ones where you kept surviving.
But I only notice one universe at all.
Yes.
This one.
Yeah. And then there's a different you that notices a different universe where you survive, and then there's yet another one of you that notices yet another universe where you survive, and so on. Right?
Okay.
Like in each universe where you are alive, where you didn't die, that version of you notices that they're alive in that universe. They only know it's one universe, but given that they're alive, they notice that they're alive in that universe.
Okay.
And so that's if you don't do anything, right? But now I'm saying, like, let's intervene. Let's do something risky. Let's point a gun to our heads and play Russian roulette. From an outside observer watching you play Russian roulette, in most of the universe, they see you die, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you only see yourself. You only observe yourself in the universes where you survive.
Okay.
Because of the entropic principle.
Yeah, I don't like it, but all right. Move forward.
All right. Hi Sasaki, welcome in. And the thing is, because like with the multiverse, and we were gesturing earlier about how lay people underestimate, like, how many things are going on. If you take this idea seriously, like, you could absolutely anything you do will not kill you. So we talked about Russian roulette with 5 bullets, right, out of 6 chambers. You can do Russian roulette with 6 bullets in 6 chambers.
Right.
And when you pull a trigger, something will intervene. Like let's say, you pull a trigger and the bullet is a dud, right? because that's a possibility that could happen. So that means there is some branch in the multiverse where that does happen, and that's the one that you're going to observe yourself in.
Yeah, I can't quite get to that last part. It's like you're explaining the Monty Hall problem, and I'm just like, I don't.
Okay.
I hear the words you're saying, but it doesn't seem true or plausible.
It
Also,
does.
you've stressed out my Fitbit.
It's
It's literally like, how are you feeling?
it is counterintuitive.
It's beyond counterintuitive. It's like non-intuitable.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how to what I can do to help with that.
It doesn't
Do we
matter.
want to
You're
talk
trying to
about
tell a
it?
story. No, I
Well,
don't. I want to know the story that you're telling.
well, because I find this argument structurally interesting, but I think
Okay.
it's like you kind of need to understand the argument before you can appreciate the structure of it. So I want to make sure you understand the argument first as a prerequisite.
I understand it semantically. I don't believe it.
Can you elaborate on that? Because now I'm finding this interesting. Like, what is it like to understand an argument and not believe in it? Like, I understand. I don't mean merely like I mean like every step you accept, I guess, or something, or everything sounds logical, it makes sense, but
Like,
then
that's why I use the analogy of the Monty Hall problem, right? Like when you get the Monty Hall problem explained to you, you just reach a point where you have to go on faith. You're like, that just like understand every moment of the argument, and the conclusion still it just seems so wrong that I don't think further explanation will quote unquote clear it up, because I understand everything that you're saying. It just does not something ineffable happens in the middle.
okay. I'll try this. I mean, I'll have to think about it to see if I can empathize. Like, have I experienced? I feel like I probably have experienced something like that in the past, but I can't come up with anything right now. But okay, so moving
You
forward,
don't know what I'm talking about with the Monty Hall problem? Because we've talked about that
I know
many
what the
times.
Monty Hall problem is, but I
No, I
don't
mean
have that.
that specific experience.
Yeah, I don't have that feeling when the Monty Hall was fully explained to me. I was like, oh, now I understand. Like, now I accept it. I do think it's true. Like the conclusion.
You should look at our old streams, because there are definitely streams where you say that you have the same experience that I'm describing.
Yeah, I'm saying that now too. I'm saying I think I have had that experience, but I can't think of a concrete example.
No, I mean about the Monty Hall problem.
I think maybe I said like a different related feeling. There's some like there are variants of the month, because what I do remember is I said I used to think I understood the Monty Hall problem, but I realize now I suspect I don't, because if I make small variations of the Monty Hall problem, I don't know what the answer is anymore.
Okay.
Like one example of a small variant is in the original Monty Hall problem, the host intentionally opens the door that doesn't have a goat behind it, right?
Right.
One small variation I've been thinking about is the host randomly opens a door. He doesn't know which door has a goat. He just randomly opens it, and it just so happens that it doesn't have a goat behind it. Like so now it's no longer the fact that the ghost was the host was intentionally avoiding the goat. It's just so like the physical outcome is exactly the same. It's just the internal mental state of the host is different, right?
Right.
So does that change the probability? And I'm like, I don't know. And that's what making me say, oh, I guess maybe I don't understand the Monty Hall problem that well.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so Russian roulette with all 6 chambers loaded. You jump off a building. Somehow magically something happens to intervene. So like one of the things that quantum physics allows is for particles to spontaneously pop in and out of existence.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, extremely unlikely, but a possibility is like, you know, a giant fluffy pillow appears below you and then cushions your fall. So you won't observe all the universes where you jump off a skyscraper and die, but at least one of you, like one of your timelines, will observe the ones where the pillow pops up underneath you.
Mm-hmm.
Old age, let's say, right? Like you're most people they get older and they die, but you with the whole particle popping in and out of existence things, you could imagine that like some of your older cells will get replaced. Like, you know, those particles will pop out of existence and have young, fresh, healthy cells pop into existence, and you stay young and healthy forever, right? There's a timeline where that happens,
Right.
and so you continue this, and like, you know, you'll live for billions of years. The Earth, all other humans are dead. The Earth is gone. Um, you're just thrown into space somehow, maybe, and they'll still be alive during all that.
Right.
Um, and so that's like the cheery rosy picture, I guess, of immortality. The argument I was making is that more likely than not, it's actually gonna be like really really bad because you I don't have to say this intuitively. You'll more likely more versions of you will experience the more probable events, right? Like if we say like if you do the Russian roulette experiment where you shoot yourself in the head, the initial phrasing I gave, and this is how it's portrayed a lot in popular culture when quantum immortality is portrayed, is that the gun just doesn't go off, and so it looks like a miracle, and you're immortal via luck that way. But I was saying what's probably more likely going to happen is that the gun does go off, and you get like really severely injured, but you're still alive, and then you observe yourself in that severely injured. You know, like maybe you have brain damage or something, right? And you need 24/7 care from a caretaker or something like that. That's the more likely universe you'll find yourself in if you do this experiment.
Can you say things like more likely when the possibilities are infinite? Isn't
I think
nothing
so.
more?
Yeah, it's tough to
Okay.
formalize it, but it is possible. So the idea is, let's say you have a jar where there's like 100 or 99 red marbles and one green marble, right? And you
Mhm.
pull out a marble from the jar. So you can think of there's 99% of the timelines you'll pull out a red marble, and 1% of timelines you'll pull out a green marble, right?
Yep.
And then this is true also if it's like, was it 990 red marbles and 10 green marbles?
Mhm.
And then you can, like, you know, keep extending it so that they're both infinities, but one infinity is like, you know, a bigger 10 times bigger than the other infinity, or 99 times bigger, sorry, I mean, than the other infinity.
Then what do you mean by it's a bad thing? Because you're only experiencing one universe. So
I'm trying to understand the question. Sorry.
how
What does it mean that it's a bad? It's a bad thing in the sense that you're going to suffer, right? You're like, or what? Let me just take a step back. What exactly are you referring to as it's a bad thing? Are you talking about like the part where you shoot yourself, or what?
the part where you said quantum immortality is a bad thing?
Oh, okay, yeah. So let me. I'll get to that in a little bit. Let me start by pointing or making sure we're on the same page about the thing about the probabilities. About saying like it's less likely that it just still turns out that the bullet is a dead or whatever, and it's more likely that, you know, the gun will go off and you will injure yourself.
Mhm. That's fine. But like, what do you mean by bad thing?
Okay, so now I talked about how as you know, billions of years later, you're young and healthy because the particles popped in and out and kept your body young and healthy, basically, right?
Mhm.
I'm saying that is a possibility, and so there is a timeline that will happen in, but more probable is that your body doesn't stay young and healthy. It becomes old, decrepit, and all your cells are, you know, atrophying or whatever. But enough of it is surviving that you're still alive. That's more
But what do
probable.
you mean by But what do you mean by it is a bad thing?
So the bad
Quantum
thing
immortality.
is you're gonna suffer for all eternity, right? Like you will never die. You're
Who
just
is?
you. There's a you only observe yourself in
But
timelines where you're still
those yous
alive.
are not me. Those universes are someone other than me,
Okay,
or
yeah.
someone other than an observing me.
Yeah, this I want to hold off on that argument because that is basically what the other guy was arguing, right? So I want to hold off on that
Oh,
before
okay.
we get into that part. And then, but like, you accept that, like, right now, for example, you're descending down, some path through the multiverse, right? And that there are other versions of you that are descending through other paths and so on. But we can also call
I don't.
those other versions of you're saying you don't accept that.
No, no.
Well,
I understand what you're saying. I don't think there are other versions of me, and even if there were, I would not think they were me.
okay, so when you say you don't think there are other versions of you, is that because you're rejecting the multiple world interpretation of quantum
Yes,
physics? Okay. Yeah, so
yes.
sorry, I was saying, like, assuming you accept multiple world interpretation and assuming you accept entropic principle, like if you accept those two axioms, then you can conclude quantum immortality, and then you can conclude that, like, you will be tortured forever, basically. Right? Like this is one of those, like,
Well, someone will be, not me.
yeah, so I want to avoid the you distinction for now. Because, like, if you're saying the reason you don't accept it is because you don't reject multiple world interpretation, that's one thing, right? Because I'm saying assume you do accept it. But if you're saying even if I accept multiple world interpretation, I still don't accept this, that's a different matter, which I want to get
Okay,
clarified.
I'm saying that.
Okay. Can you elaborate? So right now, like the person I'm speaking to, you consider that person to be you,
Yes.
and then in the next moment when I continue talking to that person, that person is also you.
Any any version of me that I am conscious of, I consider me.
Okay, but that's like there's another universe where you also said that, right? But like a different person, I guess, in your terminology, says that, but they're thinking the same thing. They have your memories. They think of themselves as the lineage up until where your two
Right, but
memories
I am
split.
not conscious of them, so
Yeah, but
they
they're
are
not
not
conscious
me.
of you either, right? And
It doesn't matter.
okay, but so you see that there's at least two people that split off from this one shared history, right?
Sure.
And they both think of that lineage, like the every moment up until they split off, as like them, I guess, right? Up to that point.
They do, but they are different at that point.
Okay,
If I
so
accepted multi-universes, which I don't, I would argue that they are at every second, all the new me's that are spawning off are different me's. They are
okay,
not me. They're different me's.
but so when you make a plan about the future, like you're saying, I should buy groceries or I should save money for retirement or whatever, right? Like that's a whole cloud of people versions of you in the future, like trillions and trillions. When we talk about the particle, being in this position versus
Yes,
that
and I'm
position, right?
only saving for the one that I plan to be conscious of.
But you're gonna
I'm not
like,
saving for the ones that I don't plan to be conscious of because those are different people.
but I'm
I'm
saying,
only
like,
saving for one of
no, but
those.
you can't, right? Like, because you don't. First of all, you don't know which of those trillions of you are gonna be.
No, but I'm saving for the one that I'm going to be conscious of.
But
I know that I don't know which one that is right now, but like that's the one that I'm saving for. Whatever one I'm conscious of. Ones that are in other universes are
no, but like
on
it's
their own.
like the thing is, it's not. I don't think it's coherent to say that there's one specific one and that's the one you're conscious of if you accept multiple world interpretation. right? So like this is the timeline.
Well,
This you're like, moving through time and space here. Then there, like an event happens, like there's a particle. Like this is constantly, right? But then there's like,
what is your goal here?
well, eventually I want to talk about the structure of my argument. But it's but for that to work, I need to make sure we're on the same page about what the argument is first.
This is having to do a lot of heavy lifting in advance of a conversation I'm not sure that is going to be interesting to me.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really want to.
All right, fine. We can drop it. We'll move on to another topic.
Like, you can tell me the structure of your argument and what you found interesting, but like, I don't think I should have to agree with you in advance about a topic that I'm not like, it seems like you're trying to spend a lot of time telling me that I'm wrong in order to tell me why you think this other person was wrong. And like, it doesn't feel very
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, the analogy I'm thinking of is imagine someone's excitedly has invented the concept of multiplication, right? And it's like, oh, this is such a cool idea. I gotta explain to someone, but before I do that, I gotta make sure they understand addition, right? Before I explain to them multiplication. So I'm like, okay, let me tell you about addition, and then we get a disagreement about like, what does 1 + 2 equal? And I'm like, okay, I really want to make sure we settle what addition is before we move on to multiplication.
sure. If you have invented something, you can just tell me about it.
Well, I mean,
And then
it's
once I'm interested, then we can make sure that once I'm interested in it and I'm hooked and want to know more, we can kind of go from there. But like, if you're just walking up to people being like, you know what X is, right? And they're like, I don't know, not really. And you're like, well, you need to know that for me to tell you the next thing. Or like, I don't think I want to know your next thing then. You've already kind of called me stupid.
okay. So can you clarify? Do you want me to move on to another topic, or do you want me to just tell you the I guess the punchline is a way of putting it, even though I think that this uh, is not the best way to um, convey the idea.
I mean, I think if you're excited about it, sharing your excitement would be great. Do you have a way of doing it that doesn't involve quizzing me and sort of acting like I'm stupid
I don't think I'm acting like you're stupid.
or need correction or need a lecture?
Hmm. I'm trying to. So if I'm trying to if I'm trying to convey an idea in a way such that I never correct you, um, yeah, what do I do if I think there's a misunderstanding?
Um, I think you have to get the other person's buy-in.
Their person's what?
Like
Sorry,
correcting people, the other person's buy-in.
buy-in. Okay.
Correcting people when they are not looking to learn feels uncomfortable to people.
So how do I get your
Right, like if someone
buy-in?
just stopped you on the street. So you hook my interest in some way. You say like, "Here's the punchline," or "Here's why I think it would be interesting," or "Here's what I think about it," or
Okay, so you do. I mean, you are. It sounds like recommending that I should just give the punchline.
yeah.
Okay, let me think about this. How to say it without relying on any missing steps. So the it's the argument that I was presenting is like an Aristotelian syllogism, where
Okay.
the famous one is like, was it like all men
All men
are
are,
mortal, right?
yeah.
Socrates is a man. Socrates is mortal. And this is the
Right.
conclusion. And the interesting thing about, well, interesting to me, maybe not interesting to more normal people, is that this syllogism works even if you change the definitions of the word man or mortal.
Okay.
Right? Like if you define the word mortal to mean has red hair, for example, right? That's not the typical definition of the word mortal.
Right.
Then this syllogism is valid. Valid in the sense
Right.
that if you accept this and this as an axiom, then this is a true conclusion that follows from that.
Right. True in the logical definition, yes.
Yeah. And so I was saying, so my syllogism is multiple world interpretation plus entropic principle. It leads to quantum immortality, right? And the argument I was getting with the other person is like, so he was getting into that thing about like, what do you mean by you, right? And I was saying it doesn't matter what, like it seems like I didn't test every possibility, but I told him it seems like this argument that I presented is robust to lots of different definitions of you because of this syllogism type structure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. That's the interesting thing about the structure of the argument.
And what did you find interesting about that?
The fact that it worked, like as like normally, because so this where there's like lots of details that I want to go through. Like they're back and they really back and forth, right? Which is like the guy is like he's making he's making arguments which to me sound they at the surface level they make sense. Like these are objections that I would make in other contexts. Like an example objection is definitions live inside your mind. You can't change what happens in the world just by defining words different ways, right? Like that statement, that counter argument, I guess, is reasonable. Like, yeah, I would make some arguments like that myself in different contexts. But I'm saying it just so happens that in this particular argument, because of its structure, it is robust to that. You can redefine words, and it's not going to change what happens, but it ends up so that the syllogism still ends up being true.
In the logical sense, it ends up being true,
Yes,
but it completely changes what the syllogism
is asserting.
means.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
interesting to me. Because like you're trying to like emphasize a key distinction, right? And that key distinction is also what I find interesting. Like naively, you think, and I think this is the mistake the other person was making. They were thinking that we're changing the syllogism, and they thought I was claiming therefore reality changes in some way, right? Like somehow I'm making it so that Socrates has red hair or something like that, right? And I'm saying I'm not changing reality. I'm changing the set of universes for which the syllogism would be true. But then we're also restricting the range of what the universes we're considering, by saying like I'm accepting these as axioms, and like these exactly cancel out in some way so that the whole thing ends up being true again.
Yeah, I guess I feel like it hinges on the definition of true.
Yeah, I think so. What I suspect what's happening, like I'm sort of projecting into your mind, I guess here is that you have a some sort of access to quote unquote the real world, right? So like in real life, Socrates did not have red hair, for example, say,
Okay.
and then you're accessing that to say that even though the syllogism is logically true, it's not true about the real world that we find ourselves in.
No, I'm saying the syllogism started being about mortality. And if you say like, oh, we can change it so that it's not about mortality, it's about red hair,
Yeah.
and redefine it, the syllogism will still be true.
Yes.
It will be, but it won't be about mortality.
That's right.
So in that sense, if we're trying to make a true quote unquote statement about mortality, we have failed. It's
Sure.
failing in that
Yes,
sense.
I agree. I agree with all
So
that.
it's true in the logical sense, but it's not true in the sense of about what we were arguing about. So I agree with you that it is true in a logical sense that a version of me will constantly exist and is being tortured. I don't think it's true in a valid sense
Well, okay,
of being
so
about me anymore. I want to be
yeah,
making true statements about me, and I don't think it is
yeah.
anymore.
So that's why I want to get into that eventually. I want to understand, and this is why I was doing this diagram. But what exactly what do you mean by you, which is. But I
Right.
also didn't want to get into it
That's
too
what I'm saying.
early.
It hinges on that.
Right. But like, let me go back to the thing. Was it all men are mortal? Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. And so one of the things I was pointing out is that if you redefine the word mortal, the syllogism is still true, right? It's still valid, I guess, logically valid.
Sure.
So insofar as you're like saying, I want to do something about mortality, and you redefine this word, then yes, there's some failing going on. We've no longer achieved your goals.
Right.
But if you're in a different situation, this is where like you present the syllogism and then someone's like, well, what do you mean by mortal? Like, we don't have a good definition of mortal, we don't know what it means exactly.
Sure.
Then you could come back and say, well, actually, this argument here is robust. You can define mortal to mean anything you want almost, and it will still work.
Sure. Sure.
So that's sort of what I was doing here. I'm saying the argument that I'm presenting up here is robust to definitions of you. You can define you in different ways, and this will still be a valid. Um,
I don't have trouble with its validity. What I have trouble with is, so you were saying it's a bad thing, for example,
yeah. So
that
the when I say you accept multiple world interpretation, I taught if you accept multiple world interpretation, you have to accept that these are all you, right? All of these are you, and so that's why I was digging in with you about what happens in this case. How do we say what's you and what's not you?
oh, okay. But what I'm saying is like when we're talking about this syllogism of like all men are mortal, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. Maybe what you're not trying to do is define Socrates or mortal. Maybe you're like, I really like Socrates and I don't want him to die, right?
Yeah,
If you then change your definition of mortal to mean red hair and the syllogism is still valid, that's fine, but it doesn't help with the problem that you had.
right,
So my problem is that I don't want to be an individual who is conscious of suffering until all eternity,
right.
right? And so I agree with you that what you have said is logically
Valid.
valid
Yeah,
if I accept the multiple thing. But my problem of I don't want to be a you that is conscious of suffering for all time. I don't think I will be.
Okay.
And so
yeah.
when you say like it's a bad thing that quantum immortality exists, that's where I'm disagreeing because I'm like, I don't think it is because I'm only in one universe and me, you, the you that's observing that I don't want to suffer for all time. So I don't think it's a bad thing that there's a bunch of other versions of me that are not that I'm not right. Like
Yeah.
uh, it's not quote unquote a bad thing. It's just a thing. It's like I'm also not conscious of all the people who I also am not conscious of who died before me.
Right.
So I was more objecting to the it's a bad thing portion of your argument because I feel like that conflates a you that is conscious of all of these other versions of you
Yeah.
with
I think I'm following everything you're saying here.
okay.
So do we want to address that or what?
No, no, that was my
Okay. So what do
that's
we?
my
So what now? Do we?
I don't know. This is your conversation, dude.
Well, okay. I mean, um, yeah, I'm really struggling that because I don't know what you want. um,
What do you mean what I want?
because I'm trying to avoid correcting you. I gave you the punchline, and I feel like
Oh, you can correct me now. Now we're having a conversation that we're both interested in.
okay,
If you disagree with me or think that I'm mistaken about it, like you can do it now. It's when you do it beforehand, before anybody is interested or invested or anything like that, that is uncomfortable.
okay. So let's say you're in this timeline, you're walking down, you're at this point, and then something happens. Like we're talking, maybe particles here, maybe particles there. So then there's trillions and trillions of descendant universes from this point.
Okay.
So up until now, you agree that this is you, right? And
Yes.
time is going this way. Time. So in like, how do we talk about future versions of you or you in the future when you say like I'm planning for retirement or whatever? Like, how do we talk about this in a coherent way?
And that's where I was saying like the version of me that I expect to be conscious of.
Yeah, but you expect all of these to be like this is like the current universe, except like one of the atoms, one of the helium atoms in the sun is 1 millimeter to the left. This is now it's 2 millimeters to the left. This is where it's 3 millimeters to the left. 4
Right, but
millimeters.
I'm only conscious. The current version of me is only conscious of one of those.
Yeah, right now,
And the
but like in the
future
very
version
next
of me will only
nanosecond,
be conscious.
sure. But in the very next moment, in a nanosecond, like there'll be trillions of versions of you, where the particle is here, in the particle that's in the sun is here, it's here, it's here, it's here. So which of the like, how do we talk about these things being you or not you when talking about the future?
How would you like to talk about them?
I say they're all you. All of these are you.
I I don't find that helpful.
Because all of them are like they're barely going to be any different from
I agree that they're barely going to be any different, but like all water molecules are, chemically identical and they're all separate. And like some of them are part
they're
of me now and some of them
yeah,
aren't.
they're not super separate though when you get down to the physics level of it. That's an So like we talk about let's say you have a water molecule and like it doesn't have a definite position, right? It has like a probability distribution, like it's unlikely to be here, but then more likely to be here, more likely to be here, more likely to be here, and then likely to be and so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can have a situation like this where we say, oh, there's two water molecules, and one, meaning if you look here, there's a high probability of finding it. If you look here, there's high probability of finding one, and if you look here, there's low probability of finding one, and so on. But you can get them closer and closer together where you get something like this, and it basically it's not clear that you have two distinct water molecules as opposed to one. Like the number of molecules you have is not.
So the you that I am right now,
Yeah.
when I was born,
Oh.
when in some universes,
Okay.
um, uh, small perturbations could have made me a uh, male um, a circus performer, disabled, a different, like all kinds of differences, right?
Yes.
Would you agree that that person is me?
Yeah, that one's tricky because like we're getting to a linguistic issue now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a linguistic issue, so you have to settle it linguistically.
Well, there there's it's entangling two concepts, right? The linguistic issue and the
I agree with
belief
you
about
about
what's
that.
going to happen issue. So that's why I was always emphasizing talk about you in the future. When you talk about you in the past, there is a point of divergence where, let's say, you became male or whatever, right? And then
Okay.
and
But
then it's
all of these future me's will also have these points of divergence
yeah.
enough so
So
that they become not me.
well, here's the thing. So when you're at this point, this is the present here, right? Right before the divergence. It's
Uh-huh.
easy to go back here and then look at this and say, oh, that's not me. That's like an alternate timeline, right?
Mhm.
But it's difficult here to say to pick one specific branch and say, or several, whatever number you want. You might say like, there's exactly 3 of me's in the future or whatever. Like it's difficult to come up with a procedure or an algorithm or something so that you can say this is me or these are me and this is not me.
I agree with you.
And it's so difficult that I think the concept becomes incoherent if you try to do something like that.
Well, it's linguistically difficult, but it's not incoherent because we realize that it's like quite important to the rest of your argument.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
You're
the
claiming
case.
they're all me, and I'm claiming that that they are different because you can go back in time or forward in time or whatever and recognize that like, oh, some of those me's are not me anymore. So therefore, uh, you can't claim that all these yous are me. There is some difference, and I get that it's very difficult linguistically, but
Yeah, so let me
it seems
take
central.
it is central. It
Okay,
is central exactly.
okay.
But I'm saying that a statement you were making earlier, like a few moments ago, was that the fact that my argument hinges on this shows that it's not incoherent, and I don't think that's true. Right? It relies on this. It does rely on this, and I think it's possible that there are some things that are incoherent, and it's important for it to be incoherent because my argument wouldn't work otherwise, right?
Okay.
So I guess
I'm willing to go this far to allow you to elaborate. I'm skeptical, but go ahead.
so I'm thinking I think it is incoherent, but like I don't know how to show that yet. I'm still thinking about it, and I guess I'm sort of passing the turn to you to try to help me find out, like, is it actually incoherent or is it not incoherent or what?
Is my position incoherent or is yours?
The idea that you can choose some of these and say that these are you and the other ones are not you.
But that's your idea, right?
No, that's what I think your idea is.
Oh, my idea is none of them are me.
So you're saying like there's like uh, a stop, like at every moment the next version of you is not actually you.
Correct. Unless I'm conscious of that version in this universe. That
Yeah,
one
but
is
you would
me.
never be, right? Because you can't be conscious of the future.
And yet,
No, like
the version of me that I am conscious of in the future is me, and all the other ones are not me.
no, but like yeah, that's the part that I'm saying that's not coherent.
I'm saying your thing isn't coherent.
Because the thing at this moment in time, right before the branch happens, you're conscious of this timeline. You have the memories of this timeline, and so there is this other timeline, but you're not conscious of those timelines. You're only conscious of this timeline. But in the very next moment, there's going to be trillions of versions of you that share this timeline, except for like the next step in time.
Sure.
And each one of them is going to be only conscious of the one that they're on.
Sure. They're all different.
Yeah, and each one of them thinks of themselves as like me, right, or you, or whatever.
It's fine, but they're all different yous or me's.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, in the same way, like this person thinks of all the other alternatives as someone else, in the same way that you think of yourself as someone else relative to this person, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
that's fine.
And so it does not matter that there are infinite someone else's.
Yeah, in the
suffering.
past or along the present simultaneously. Like, this guy's simultaneous with this guy. That's fine. This guy says, I'm different from this guy because there's a divergence of the past that makes me different from this guy.
Sure.
I'm okay with all that. The part I'm not okay with is that when you're in the present and you're looking into the future and the divergence hasn't happened yet, this is where it's like, how do I say which one of these is me?
Why is that important?
Because I'm trying to lay down a definition of you in the same way that I want to lay down a definition of mortal to see what does the syllogism now say. And then once we understand what the syllogism says, we can then do an analysis. It's like, okay, do we think, what it says reflects reality or what, Well,
I think this is why it's tricky, because you are trying to make a logically valid syllogism, and I am trying to say the problem of that would be a true problem of a me that I'm conscious of suffering for all eternity. I'm trying to make a valid statement about that potential problem. And so we're having two different discussions, which I think is what your interlocutor was also struggling with, is like, oh,
I don't know.
you can make a logical syllogism.
I think you might be projecting into them.
It's possible. I wasn't there for that argument, but I'm suggesting a possibility.
Yeah.
I could have made that more tentative.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so what I understand you saying is that there's a conclusion that you want. The conclusion is like, I'm not suffering or something. I'll call it the not hell conclusion, right?
Sure.
Like you're saying. But like this is the part where I'm fuzzy. Like, and so therefore what do we do about that? But the other thing I'm saying is like, okay, let's figure out what words mean. Like, what do we mean by you, and so on. Once we do that, we can then see, does it lead to hell or does it lead to heaven or what, or So I don't have a fixed conclusion in mind yet. I want to figure out what do the terms mean.
I don't have a fixed conclusion in mind either. It can sound like I do, and I think you might have represented it as if I do. I'm saying I want to make a true statement about what I personally might be conscious of. Because if it is going to be eternal hell, that's important for me to know. I want to know that and try and work on that problem.
Right.
So to me, if the concern about whether or not we can make a logical syllogism is not particularly relevant. Right.
It's relevant.
Logic.
It's relevant in the sense that this is one pathway to which you can conclude that you will end up in hell, right? Like, it's a conditional pathway, right? It relies on you accepting multiple world interpretation and entropic principle, for example.
I'm not sure that, like, I think that because you're trying to make a valid syllogism, you're willing to say, like, well, what if we just replace mortality with red hair? And I'm saying, right, but I'm trying to say something true or not true about mortality. So, like, just making a useful syllogism by saying, like, let's get really super clear about what we mean by mortal. Let's pick this definition. I'm like, oh, but that's I don't. I'm struggling with what the word quote unquote true here means. Because I think we're replacing. I think we're conflating truth and validity.
Yeah, so
Valid in terms of a valid syllogism.
yes, so I think part of the problem is it's not like there's no universally accepted definition of you, right? So when we say like, is it true that you will end up in hell or whatever? What I'm trying to point out, one of the things I'm trying to point out there's like is that, well, that depends what you mean by you, right? And I think you're also
I
along in
understand.
that road. Yeah. So that's
Yes.
why I'm like, so normally I wouldn't have to do this, I guess. Like the higher level step is I'm saying that actually it doesn't matter how you define the word you. The syllogism is valid either almost any for any definition of you. So choose whatever definition
I
you
understand
want,
that.
and you quote unquote will end up in hell. But it sounds like you're saying I accept multiple world interpretation and I accept entropic principle, but I don't accept quantum immortality. Right? Like you're saying the
Nope.
syllogism is not valid, or
What I'm saying is when you say that thing of like, it doesn't matter how you define you,
yeah.
again, I'm not interested in whether or not you can make a valid statement about some definition of you. I'm trying to make a
Understand something about the
valid
true world.
statement about what the version of me that is conscious right this second and this second and this second and this second will not end up suffering for all time, and it's not a bad thing that some version of me will.
Yeah, and
And that like lots of versions of me will,
yeah,
but that's not
so
quote unquote. I can agree that you could define you such that
such that you quote
that
unquote end up in
is
hell.
happening.
Yeah,
Yeah, and in fact, in in many version universes you already have.
right.
Um, what
Yeah, but
what I am
okay. Sorry, go ahead.
it's fine. I think you kind of understand what I'm saying, but don't like it.
Well, I think maybe I don't understand what you're saying
Okay.
because like there are things, there are logical implications, right? Like where if you accept this, then this next thing must be true and so on. And it seems we're agreeing on all the first parts, but then we're missing something to get to the therefore you must agree that this is true also, parts. So
This is
that's
why I'm saying, like, I think that the definition of true is getting in our way.
maybe, but I think it's not that serious yet. I don't think we have to go that abstract to figure out where. Because
Okay.
here's one of the issues I noticed. You're saying that you correctly reported that that my claim is that this argument is true no matter what definition of you use.
It's valid.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's valid no matter what definition of you use. And then you're saying, but I don't want to use like some random definition. Like I want to use this specific definition or say, right? Like that's not exactly what you said, but I'm sort of putting words in your mouth to make my argument easier. I don't know if you'll accept that this much.
That's fine.
Okay. And so, but then I'm saying, yeah, well, it works for that definition of you that you, or it would, if you could put your definition into words, and then we can step through it and check. But it should work for your definition of you because it works for almost any definition of you.
Yes, because you are trying to make a valid syllogism. And I am trying to answer the question of like, will I be sad
Yeah.
if
Okay. So
Socrates is
yeah,
mortal
exactly.
more?
Exactly. Yeah. Let's go to this example. So we have the syllogism, which we know, or we strongly suspect is valid, but we care
Yes.
about like, is Socrates going to die? We're really curious about
Yes.
that. And I'm
Yes.
saying, well, this syllogism works for almost any definition of the word moral. So if the thing you care about is whether or not Socrates is going to die, define moral to mean can die, and then we run it through the syllogism and say, oh yeah, it works. So he can die. So that's how we found out the truth about whether or not Socrates can die.
Okay. I need a moment to, because I agree with you about this, and I feel like there's something missing, and I can think about it but not articulate it yet.
Okay.
So give me a second
Sure.
to try and
Actually, I'll be right back. Maybe we'll use the washroom. What do you think about
Okay.
this?
Sounds good.
I'm back.
Okay. There's something that is happening that's being elided with with the part about it being a quote unquote bad thing.
Okay.
Because I don't disagree with you about the idea that there are multiple yous, me's happening in universes all the time. What's missing is the part about it being a bad thing. And so I think we have to add that into the Socrates analogy to see that work.
All right. Do you have a proposal of how to do that? Because I don't exactly understand what you mean. So.
Okay, let's say the syllogism is all men are immortal.
Okay.
Socrates is a man, Socrates is immortal.
Okay.
But now add in parentheses after all men are immortal, add like, and that's a bad thing.
Okay.
And then add that to 10 as well.
Okay.
Okay, and now do you see why the definition of immortal can be anything, but that doesn't answer the part that's in parentheses?
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with your version of that there's lots of yous out there being tortured or whatever, right? What I am specifically objecting to is the idea that it's quote unquote a bad thing because I reject that because
Okay.
I will only be conscious of a universe where that isn't happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. So you're doing like several steps, and there's like one step I
Yeah.
object to, and then everything else is fine, right?
Okay.
And then the one
Great,
step I
great.
object
That's the
to
step you
is
object to.
this step, right? Which is when you say I will only be conscious in one of these timelines or whatever. I don't want to put too many words in your mouth, so I'm trying not to paraphrase it too much, right? But when you say like
Right.
like
Something will only be conscious in one timeline. I understand that you're saying they're also all U's, and I'm saying, right, but they're also U's that are very slightly different.
yeah,
And each of those U's will only see themselves in the universe that they're in, and they will only be in universes where they can only see themselves.
right.
So each of those things can't collectively know that it's a bad, like, they can't know that it's a bad thing. They just
Well,
literally can't.
I guess so. Let's. What's gonna happen is, so this is like one instantaneous moment later, right? But then we talk about like a year later, 10 years later, and so on, and they keep diverging and so on, right? And so some of these are gonna die
Right.
off, right? Like some of them die of old age, some of them die of
Sure.
cancer, whatever. But because there's always a way to stay alive because of the quantum fluctuation, so on. There's
Yes.
there is going to be one path, or I guess it's an infinite number of paths. There's going to be
Sure.
infinity paths where it keeps going. Like there are a bunch of dead ends, but there's always
Yes.
it always keeps going.
Absolutely.
And so this one where you die off, you
Yes.
will not be like the you that was here won't even be there to observe that they died off. So their suffering
Sure.
ends, I guess, in a sense. And then, but there's this one infinite branch where their suffering just goes on forever and ever and ever. And
Absolutely.
and this might be the linguistic part now. Like maybe if now we might be at the moment where we agree on everything, and it's just linguistics at this point, which is saying,
Okay,
I call
great.
this you.
Sure.
Right, I call this
I
you.
understand that you call it you, but what I'm saying is there is no you that is conscious of all of the yous.
Well,
Therefore, it is not a bad thing.
yeah, I guess what I'm thinking is, I haven't thought deeply about this, so I'm sort of forming my mental model as we speak right now.
Sure.
But what I'm thinking is I guess what my mental model is, it's that it's a cone that's changing over time. So like, what is you or me is changing over time,
Sure.
and it's changing such that it is all of my history up until the present, and then all possible futures.
Sure.
Right. So that means from this person's perspective, I'll use a different color. Maybe here this. It's all of the history, and then all of their possible futures. Like, and so from this person, all
That's
of this
fine.
is you, and for me, all of this
I
is you.
know,
And so
yeah.
on. Yeah. Okay.
I get that part. What I'm saying is there is no you that is conscious of all of the yous.
Sure,
There
but
is no you that is conscious of any other you than them,
well,
even if they are
then
just a
you at that
cone
one
of
point in time,
probability.
in
Yeah,
fact, because you're not even
exactly.
conscious of the past. You can remember the past, but you're not
I'm
conscious
not,
of it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And so because there is no you that can experience all of the possibilities, it is therefore, quote unquote, not a bad thing that all those possibilities exist. Because what I'm more worried about is being a you that could know that all those possibilities exist.
Well, I think the why, like as time progresses, like this cone shifts, right? Like, so let me do like an
Sure.
orange thing. So like 5 milliseconds in the future, now this is you. Like all of these are no longer me, right? Because time moved forward and I moved past this branch point.
Okay.
And
But like,
sorry,
okay.
and so the way I want to think of this concept of you or me coherently is like when I'm here and I'm making a decision, like should I save for retirement or not, right? So there's a branch where I don't save for retirement, and there's a branch where I do, and then maybe this one, I have money and I'm happy, and then this one I don't have money and I'm sad, right? And I can talk about like this is bad. All of these are bad, like as a collective, and all of these are good as a collective. You know?
Yeah, I feel like you are continuing to think that I don't understand your definition of you, and I think I do.
Okay.
Can I make a different analogy?
Yes.
Okay. You will occasionally on the internet encounter people who talk about how they're glad that they were born because like their mother was thinking of getting an abortion.
Yes.
And they're clearly deeply affected by the idea that they might not have existed.
Right.
And in my mind, them not existing is not a tragedy because they would not have been aware of their non-existence.
Sure.
Do you agree with that?
Yep.
So that is what I'm saying here is that like this situation that you're describing can be quote unquote true. It can be a valid syllogism. It can be all of those things. And it's quote unquote not a bad thing because there is no one to be conscious of the tragedy that you are suggesting that it is.
Well, there is someone, right? It's the guy who's like all along this timeline. That guy is conscious of all of this suffering.
Sure, right? Like the one you who I think you could agree is not very much me
I well,
suffers.
under my definition, he is you, right? He is me or whatever, because he's inside the cone.
I cannot be conscious of him, therefore it is not a tragedy.
Well, you can't be conscious of him in the same way that when you're here and at this point in time, you can't be conscious of what it's like to have saved for retirement and to not have saved for retirement, right? Because that's in the future, so you can't be conscious of it yet.
I don't feel like that's relevant.
Well, I'm saying it should affect your decision making, right? Like you take actions such that the cone, like mostly encompasses good things. Like maybe you save for retirement, but something goes wrong, like the stock market crashes and you end up poor anyway, right? That's a possibility too. So like saving for retirement doesn't guarantee that you'll have money in retirement, but it changes what things are part of the cone and what things are not part of the cone. And your goal, I guess, is to try to
Right,
make
but
your cone
I
as good as
feel like
possible.
you're saying I feel like you're saying the fact that like okay, so you just said you could save for retirement and something could go wrong.
Yeah.
It seems like you're then trying to say because something could have gone wrong when you saved for retirement or because something might go wrong, therefore that is a tragedy in the present.
Yeah, I don't mean it's a tragedy in the present. Um, and I don't
But you're
even
sort of like do you see what I mean by that? Like you're putting it in the present?
no, I'm saying that when you're in the present and you have the opportunity to take an action or make a choice, the way you make that choice.
I understand that.
And so, like, I mean, we might be talking like in different paradigms or something like that. Because I'm not even thinking in terms of tragedy. I think, like,
Well, this is the problem is you're trying to make a true syllogism and I'm trying to say something about an assertion that you made that it would quote unquote be a bad thing. I don't think I disagree that there
yeah,
I mean, I think multiple universes is silly, but like I don't disagree with the idea that if one accepted quantum immortality, that there are a lot more quote unquote things in the cone of probability that end badly than not.
okay.
I'm saying that's not a bad thing. or you can't make an assertion that it's a quote unquote bad thing
Okay.
right now.
Yeah, I think I don't fully understand the distinction you're making, but I also think it's not core to my argument. So it's like I'm
Okay.
not bothered if you want me to say, if you want me to retract the assertion that it's a bad thing, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. That's fine. Then we probably wouldn't be arguing about anything.
Right.
Right? Like you're just saying, you're just basically at this point, you're now just defining the quantum immortality.
Yeah.
You're not even making an assertion.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. It's not a very interesting argument, but yeah,
Well, what I think about it's
it's
interesting
not an
about
argument. It's a definition.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's an argument in the sense, and even then at the beginning, I said like I don't know if I like the word argument for this. But to me, what's interesting.
I mean, argument in terms of like proposition.
Well, yeah, it's an argument the same way of as the Socrates is mortal is an argument,
Right.
Like
It's a
we
proposition.
define, yeah, sure, okay, so it's a proposition. What did I delete? But like it's I guess it's something I never appreciate or about syllogisms, or which is this idea that you can just redefine these terms to be almost anything and it still works. And I found that
Yes,
interesting.
it's a property of language. It's called relational frame theory, I think.
Okay.
And there's a whole branch of therapy and understanding of human suffering that's based on this sort of, I'm going to say transitive property, but I don't think that's quite right. This relational frame theory of language, that how once you have established a relational frame, such as a syllogism, how you define the words in the frame doesn't change the relationship.
Yeah.
And that leads to some really strange properties of language that, according to relational frame theory, contribute to some of our suffering because we get put into sort of some of these relational frames and whatever. It's too complicated to explain here, but yeah, I agree with you that language is really interesting that way.
Yeah. I want to get back to this point because there's a couple things that you raised that make me like I'm excited to talk about because I find them interesting. So I'll come back to this in a moment. But okay, so the guy that I was quote unquote arguing with, at one point he was like, oh, if you just change the definition of words, that doesn't change reality, right? Which I agree with. He's right. But I'm saying, and yet, like I didn't have the language that you just talked about, this relational frame theory, so I couldn't explain it that way. But I'm saying, but it works, right? I'm saying my argument works anyway. Like even though what you say is true, it's still true that no matter how if you can redefine the word "you" in different ways, and I didn't call it syllogism, but I said, and the quantum immortality argument is still true. It still works. I said for most definitions of you, I say every definition of you that I can think of, it works. Maybe there's somewhere it doesn't work, but it seems like I say, the definitions of you that pop into mind. I didn't have your objection, Steph. So that one, but I said like things like the thing that retains my memory, or the thing that has my personality, over time, or things like that. Like all these type of definitions, it seems to work.
Right.
And then
once you establish the relational frame, it's almost impervious.
Yeah, exactly. And then he was talking about he tried to. He said like I think you can cheat. Or he was doing like a reductio absurdum type thing, right? Reductio absurd on me. But he's saying, well, why don't I just redefine the word "you" to mean someone who is happy, comfortable, healthy, and so on, right? Then I then I just redefine you, and then I cheat my way out of hell from the quantum immortality, right?
Right, and you were like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I was like, actually, it does work. Yeah, like even though you're trying to say it doesn't work,
the frame.
Yeah, it works. So here's the thing, like, right? And this is sort of gestures at what you're getting at, I think, a little bit, which is like, okay, so you define you to mean that, right? The person who is happy and comfortable and so on. So then you point the gun to your head and you shoot yourself, and then like there's going to be There's gonna be someone who suffers, someone that's stuck in the hospital, they're paralyzed and so on. But by your definition, that's not you. You are the one who's happy and comfortable and so on.
Right.
And so it works.
Therefore,
like, yeah,
exactly.
So like, yes, you can cheat quantum immortality and escape hell if you truly think of you. If your conception of you is that definition, then yes, it works. But I suspect that that's not really your definition, right? Like, I suspect that in the back of your mind, you're thinking, "Oh, that guy who's suffering in the hospital, actually, that's me." Like, if you're thinking that, then you didn't escape hell, right? Because like your real definition, the one that you really believe in, leads to this conclusion instead, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so all of this was fascinating to me. Like,
yeah, when I have gone to relational frame theory conferences and they talk about some of this type of stuff, and I'm not doing it great justice because it's beyond my linguistic understanding, and I sort of just do it for kind of fun, and they're doing it for real. It can be really like mind blowing.
Yeah.
I remember getting super excited about it. Of sort of like,
so like you then it's me now, right? That's where I'm like, look at this crazy idea. Like, it's
yes. Yes. It was just like, wait, what? How? Yeah. And it's fascinating because, yeah, like changing the definition doesn't matter.
Yeah.
For these properties. So. And I don't.
Even if like a silly, ridiculous definition that you think would break it, doesn't actually break it. Yeah.
Right.
Like, mortal means red hair. You means someone who is happy. And like.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay, so the thing I want to jump back to the thing that you raised about it's something I've been thinking about abstractly or in the back, which is like AI's LLMs being intelligent, right? And I'm like, is intelligence structurally embedded into language, right? Like, and is that why quote unquote next token prediction somehow yields like intelligence and understanding and all these crazy things, right?
Okay. Say more so that I am sure that I understand what you're asking. Or
well, it's almost a shower thought, so I don't have it very developed. But it's just this thing where I'm noticing here and there where like there's something about like, even though like with the syllogisms, right, where we say it doesn't matter what the word mortal means, or it doesn't even matter what the word man means or men means, right? Like it can mean anything, and structurally it still works, right? Like if you accept this, and that's a big if, right? Because depending on how you define mortal, maybe you don't accept it. Like if you define mortal to mean have red hair, well, we don't accept that all men have red hair. But if you do accept these, then this is always true. And it doesn't matter what the words mean, like it's still true, right? And, or valid if you might prefer. And I'm wondering, like, is that some of the power? Is that's where the source of the power of AI, LLM based AIs are coming from?
Yes. I am interested in this also. But you've just introduced the question to me, so I also don't have very organized thoughts. Maybe we can continue thinking about that.
Well, I've been thinking about it for months, but I haven't made any progress on it. So, but it's just there. It's just this idea that
I'm gonna solve it by next week.
Okay,
so
sounds good. I'll be happy to hear you. But like, it's just like here and there, I get glimpses of this idea again, right? And this is another one of these glimpses of this idea.
Yeah.
This relational framework thing.
Of like, right. There's something about. Yeah, I've been reading a lot about the idea of language as and
sorry, I think
flexible tools.
I think you cut off there. I didn't hear what you've been reading a lot about, and then I didn't hear the rest.
Language as flexible tool use with rules, which is how we navigate the universe in general.
Yeah.
So that like language is not really a special like we often think of language as one thing and thinking as another.
Okay.
And this argument has been talking about how actually language is just a special category of thinking, a special category of doing. It's the ability to operate flexibly within a constrained environment using tools, and the words and grammar and things like that are just tools or the rules. And so there is something about if you have rules and flexibility
Okay.
and constraints that which LLMs do have, that they are sort of thinking
Yeah.
that is intelligence.
Right.
And I want to think more about that before I
Okay.
talk about it in more detail. But maybe it will add something interesting to what you've been thinking about.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of like I think about this, and usually in response to these criticisms I see, right? Like, so there's the obvious the I already mentioned next token predictor, right? So like, there's no understanding. Right. There's also this more philosophical, but it's similar, which is that the LMs have no referent, right? They use words like man, mortal, Socrates, but they don't know what these words mean. Like they don't know who Socrates is. They don't know what a man is. They don't know what mortal, like, and yet they're able to solve novel math problems, like, right. and so this is where I'm saying maybe you don't need to know what the words mean, like, and that's why
I don't think you do. I think like we often behave in the world in ways that are quote unquote intelligent without actually knowing
what the words actually mean. Yeah.
Right.
Which is crazy. Like,
or
it's
what
so
the tools
unintuitive.
do,
Like,
yeah.
like,
yeah. Often we have very wrong models, and yet we quote unquote behave intelligently.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fascinating. There's something about there's something there. But I need to think about it more before I can contribute intelligently to this discussion.
All right, next topic. I feel like this is going to be just chatting only stream. I don't think we're going to get this that long. Because I thought this was going to be like a 15-minute thing and then move on, but this was like, how long have we been talking about this? 1.5 hours.
Forever.
Yeah.
100,000 years.
Yeah, exactly. We're in the hell timeline right now, right? Where we just talk about this topic forever and ever and ever.
Yes. 100%.
So you know how like iceberg lettuce was recalled, and then more other things have been recalled recently.
Yeah.
Cyclospora. Anyway, it's hard to keep track of what is safe.
Oh yeah, and you made a thing.
I made a thingy. Here it is. U.S. nationwide food recall. What do you care about? Bacteria and pathogens. So Salmonella, E. coli, and so on. Broadly, my mental category or my mental model for this is things that should not be in your food, and you cannot see if it's in your food. Like by looking at the food, you could not see if E. coli was in it, right?
Gotcha.
Foreign objects, so glass shards, metal, plastics, things that should not be in your food, but you could see it if you looked. And undiagnosed allergens, so like it contains milk, but it doesn't tell you it contains milk. It contains eggs, but it doesn't say that it contains egg, and everything else. So these are all the and the FDA have to have their own classification systems, but I broke it down to these what I feel are easier to understand categories.
Okay.
So you say maybe I don't care about this because I'm not allergic to almost anything. So you save. Okay. So here are things you got to be careful about eating.
Wow.
Pickled golden chicken, fruit bars, granola. Well, so let's say it's like fruit bars. I eat fruit bars. Let me read about this. So you click on this. Outshine fruit bars. And then here's the exact products that have been recalled. Here's a citation of to show that I didn't just make this shit up.
A limited number may contain glass.
Yep. Foreign material. It's under the foreign material category.
God.
And these are the ones. Here's the UPC, and it's the best before from this to this date. That's when the glass was introduced in this date range.
Who do these, I have not seen that recall out in the world. Who do these recall messages go to? How do we get them?
Obviously by going to my site, right? That's how you get them.
Yeah, okay.
The way I get them, the way I used to get, so the Cyclospora one, it was pretty media wide, I guess. or it might be a social
Right.
bubble thing. I don't know. It's hard for me to tell, right? But like I see it everywhere. And then I
Right.
start seeing more stuff. Like, you know, like there's I can't remember which ones I saw next, but I just saw a bunch of things. And I started seeing like 4 or 5 different things. I'm like this is a lot. Like there's like
It does seem like a lot.
like I can't remember 5 things in my head of don't eat these foods, right? So I'm like, let me
Right.
make a website. And then when I made it's like it's a lot more than 5 actually, now that I made the website, right? Like
Yeah.
and so what I used to do is I used to get them on TikTok. Actually, I would get it. You know, someone on TikTok would
I
say
don't
like,
know what some of those foods are.
yeah,
What
yeah,
is moringa?
where's moringa?
What if I eat it?
Yeah, moringa. How do you spell moringa? I don't know what this word is. Oh, moringa. Okay, I see it. Moringa. Some sort of powder, I guess, has
Oh my
salmonella in it.
God. Okay.
It's a nutrition.
Jesus.
I guess one of those powders you put in your drink or something like that.
Okay.
Moringa powder.
Who's where are you getting it?
Yeah. Okay, so I was telling that. Sorry. Okay, so I used to get them on TikTok. I like these people on TikTok would say, "Hey, you know, there's a new recall on pizza. There's a recall on you know lettuce. There's a recall on jalapenos." And I'm like, I just passively absorbed. I used to just passively, and then I was like, I should write this down, right? I should start. And so
Right.
then I did that for a bit. Like I'm like, as I just hear about them, I add them to this list.
Okay.
So I would hear about them on TikTok, for example, say.
Okay.
But now, I like, you know, this is all AI built, right? I didn't actually build the site. I'm like, I told AI build a site for me where it does this. I'm like, okay, and the AI built it. But then I'm like,
Okay.
someone in my Discord asked me like, how is this updated? I told them, oh, I update it manually, right? When I hear about something, I add it to it. But like by him asking me this prompted me, you know, it's like, wait, can I automate this somehow? So I told
Right.
I told the AI, I told Claude, he's like, hey Claude, can you like how can you do this automatically for me so I don't have to do it for me? And Claude figured it out for me.
Okay.
Claude said, here's what I'll do. I'll create a bot that every day connects to the FDA website and scrapes their announcements. And then once I get a list, I'll then cross-reference it. Like I'll invoke another LLM. Like I didn't want to pay for it. So I said like, you know, give me a free LLM or something. So it says, so then it gets the FDA announcement. It gives it to Grok. It asks Grok to classify, is this a big deal or is it minor? What I mean by minor is like every now and then the FDA announces something like we recalled like 18 bottles of soda or something like that, right? In one shop.
Right.
So it's like, okay, nobody cares about that for whatever. But so like ask Grok basically, is this a big deal? And then also does a search on the web for a news article, like a popular press, PR Newswire, for example, as a citation, and then adds it automatically together for me as a new entry, submits it to me as a human, and I just read it and say, does it look real or was it a hallucination? Right. And then if it's real, I say, yeah, approve, and then it adds it to the website.
So does the FDA think that we're all like checking their website every day
Well, I
to see
guess
if our food contains glass?
as a bureaucrat, I think it's like, what can I do besides reports that, you know, this is a thing that's happening, right?
I don't know. I feel like there needs to be some sort of food in my house checker person
Yeah. Well, so yeah,
who has
I'm
been
trying to help
assigned
with that, right?
specifically to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I'm trying to help with that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, so like here, if you just check this website every week, you can just look at this section, right? And then you say, okay, anything new this week, right? And then like if you forget, you can also scan. Okay, you know, like let me check the last month or last 3 months. Like, you know, is it cottage cheese okay? Oh no, wait,
But,
actually
like,
cottage cheese was not okay. And then
does it
chicken nuggets.
disturb the FDA that like nobody is returning these glass containing foods? Like they recall it, but does anybody actually turn it in?
I don't know anything about this part. Like I don't know what the reality is on the floor, right? Like
Concerning to me.
it is concerning. Like I where it's I don't know if I have a war perception, but I feel like this is third world country shit, right? Like you can't eat the food. You know, like
It
when
doesn't seem great.
when I was younger, my dad would sometimes take me on vacation to to resorts, and he will warn me like, don't drink the water here, right? Because whatever. And then
Right.
I'm like, wow, what a terrible place it would be to live in like. And now it's the United States, which is that place.
Yeah. Wow, interesting. I read a whole book called The Poison Squad about how adulterated and poisonous and full of hazards our food used to be.
And,
Now I'm
okay,
concerned
yeah, it's
that I was.
it's so much. Like even with this list, I feel like I can't keep track. Right, like it's this list is too long. Like
It's too long.
like like fine, fruit parade pouches, tomatoes, yeah, I don't eat that, right? That's fine. But then we get like chicken salads. I might sometimes eat spaghetti,
Too many things. Yeah.
bread,
Bread.
berries, bacon, egg, cheese,
Everything.
chicken nuggets, sausage patties, ice cream, potato chips, frozen pizza,
Freakish.
white rice, ground beef, pork. Just like everything, all food, like basically pizza here, like
Don't
you just
don't eat food.
meatloaf,
Also, some of your powders.
salmon,
So you can't just like
yeah.
Wow.
Grilled chicken, canned tuna, cereals, and snacks, like everything, anything food you can name up, it's probably on this list.
That's freaky. Great. Thank you for the nightmare fuel.
Yeah. I like how you think this is nightmare fuel, not the you will be tortured for all eternity via quantum immortality.
Right.
It's not the nightmare fuel.
Right. Because I won't be.
I'm becoming I'm changing topics now. I sort of accelerate my use of AI. So like there's this thing, right? I started this project. I did the game that I talked about, the adult game. I got a bunch of other things going on. And I'm now right now I'm spending $60 a month on AI. And I think I'm approaching $100 a month soon. If I continue accelerating at this rate.
Right.
And that's unusual for me. I feel like for like when I look around other people's discourse, I feel like $60, $100 a month, like it sounds typical for like your cell phone bill or maybe your cable TV or something like that. People might spend that much per month, but I'm usually very frugal.
That's true.
I'm spending $20 a month, for example, for my phone.
Right.
Yeah. I never bought skins when I played League of Legends, for example, right? Like,
right.
Do you remember you and I, Steph? We played a game called Spiral Knight a long time ago.
Yes.
And it's a free game, but you can like buy something that unlocks something. I forget what it is, like $15 to unlock something. And then and I was like, I'm not gonna buy that. And you were like, we got $15 fun out of it. Yeah, let's buy it. And then I was like, all right, fine. So I bought it. Yeah. So I mean, I'm basically painting a portrait, right? Like this is the type of person I am.
Yes.
And I'm saying, and so my bill comes in and it's like $60. I'm like, dang. And like it's not like
that is all the money in the world.
Yeah, but like the what's odd about it, and that like because of the type of person I am, like $60 I'd be like unacceptable, right? I'm canceling. But here I'm like, I think I'm gonna keep going because it's worth it.
Wow.
Like $60, like for everything that AI can do. Like you're paying for intelligence basically, which is like conceptually maybe things would change in the future, but the most valuable thing in the world, right, is intelligence.
You're paying for intelligence and execution, which I would argue is sometimes even more valuable.
Yeah. And I say that because maybe like once intelligence become commoditized, it won't be valued anymore, right? Like too cheap to meter. Like you used to pay, light used to be expensive in the sense of candles, right? You had to buy candles to light your home. And then the dream was we're gonna make electricity so cheap it's gonna be free. It's too cheap to meter. That type of thing.
Right.
We haven't got there yet, but maybe one day. And so maybe one day with intelligence, right? It'll be too cheap to meter. Like who cares if you're smart? Like I can get smart, for free anywhere. You would tell your teacher when they ask you why you didn't do your homework. Or
I would want to know why you're putting glass in my food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is a striking change for me. That's why I'm commenting on it. Like of like paying $60 a month for something and not thinking I'm being ripped off and saying I'm immediately gonna cancel.
I agree with you. I don't have and like I agree with you that that is a striking change for you and that it's notable and all of that sort of thing. I just don't have anything
Yeah.
else to say about it.
Okay. And then one last thing to wrap up, I guess, because I do think we're over time for we're not gonna do 6 today.
Right.
Which is the perfect thing now. I wrote a note for myself saying I've become more convinced that Silksong is an inferior game relative to Hollow Knight.
Okay.
So like after we
Why do
do,
you need to become convinced?
because I'm not sure. I was open, right? Uh, as I'm like up until recently when I'm playing Silksong and I'm like, I feel like it's not as good as Hollow Knight, but I'm not sure because a lot of people, there's a lot of vocal people who think Silksong is better than Hollow Knight, and I feel like almost from the beginning, like maybe not the first stream, but maybe by stream 3 or 4 or something like that, I had the sense of like, I don't think Silksong is as good as Hollow Knight. It's not bad. It's not a bad game. It's just not as good as Hollow Knight. But like, there was so much opposition to my viewpoint, right? That I was like, well, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe it gets better, like, you know, when I get further into the game. But there's also like this. It's sometimes tough to make an evaluation in the moment. So what's happening is like I'm reviewing our VODs. Like I watch what you and I like. You know, I watch our old streams basically,
Right.
and then I'm observing things. And I'm saying oh, that's a bad design decision they made here, and that's, you know, and this was, they shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have done that. And I'm gradually, you know, building up this case, I guess, in my mind of becoming like more and more convinced. I'm saying, actually, yeah, I'm becoming more confident. Silksong is not as good as Hollow Knight.
Okay.
And so I'll give you some of the new evidence I guess I noticed.
Okay.
So I don't know how good your memory is of Hollow Knight stuff, but towards the late game of Hollow Knight, there's an initial area called Forgotten Crossroads, and eventually those crossroads get infected. Let me see if I can find a picture to try to jog your memory. Hollow Knight Forgotten Crossroads. Yeah, so this area. I don't know if this rings a bell.
It doesn't, but I believe you. Okay.
And then like when it looks like this and it's pleasant enough, and then as you play the game, eventually it becomes Infected Crossroads. And it looks like this now.
Okay. I remember that for some reason.
Okay.
Like that
well,
was
it's later in the
familiar.
game, so it's more recent in your memory, I guess.
Right.
And this is a big like ugh moment in the game. I feel like in Hollow Knight. It's such a big ugh moment that when I replay Hollow Knight, like to do speedruns or whatever, I will intentionally reroute, like go out of my way, take, you know, different paths through the game, so that I spend as little time in Infected Crossroads as possible. There's a specific event that triggers Infected Crossroad to happen. So like I'll try to trigger that event as late as possible, and I'll do like these detours of like, let me go back to Crossroads and finish everything I need to do before it gets infected, and then go do the trigger, then come back and so on, right? Like it's worth planning around. It's how annoying, I guess, is Infected Crossroads.
Right.
And it works like narratively, I think. Like it gives you the sense of urgency, like, oh, like the world is getting worse. You need to hurry. You need to kill the guy before, you know, the infection spreads everywhere. It works narratively in Hollow Knight, but it's just an unpleasant scene, an unpleasant moment in the game. And we talked to you and I, Steph, a bit in the past about how sometimes game designers will intentionally make like these sections not pleasant or not enjoyable, right? For various reasons. And that can still elevate the game and so on. What I'm feeling like in Silksong is all of Act 3 is Infected Crossroads. You know, like we're going through the entire game again, but now all the bugs have this void black stuff coming out of them, and they're so annoying to deal with, and everything's bad. And so they took like an ugh moment that's poignant. Like it was just brief. Like you just see this and then you're freaked out in the Hollow Knight. You're like, oh no, I need to hurry. I need to stop the infection. But then they made it so much more bigger, so that like it's not like this. It's not an ugh moment. It's like an ugh game session, right? Like multiple sessions. It's like, And I think that was a mistake of them in Silksong. I don't think they should have done that. They shouldn't have made the bad part
Okay.
bigger.
Okay.
That's one thing. Another thing is I feel like there's so many missable stuff in Silksong relative to
Yeah,
Hollow Knight. In Hollow Knight,
I agree.
there's like just a handful of things you can miss. And most of them are like not even a big deal. Like people would barely call them unmissable. Like I would have to scrape the bottom of the barrels to come up with a list of missables.
Right.
The big one is there's an ending you can miss in Hollow Knight. Like if you get the Void Charm, and then kill the. There's an ending where if you kill the boss before getting the Void Charm, you get one ending. And so if you do get the Void Charm, you can't get that ending anymore, and so that's missable. So that's like the biggest one.
Yeah.
But there's also things like where there's some people where if you don't talk to them, they at a certain moment they walk away or they go away, and then you miss your opportunity to see some dialogue, which I think Steph you don't care about, right? Because you don't care about any of the dialogue.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
And then like as I'm scraping the bottom arrow, there's an arcane egg, which is a relic, which is just money basically. There's like this room where you can get some money, but if you miss it, then you can't get that money, right? But who cares? Because you can get infinite money, but just by killing monsters constantly. And that's basically it. That's all the missables in Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
And
What do people like about Silksong that they think makes it a better game?
they say that the combat is more fluid or more developed or something like that, or there's better movement, things like that.
Oh, okay.
Which
Do you think that's true?
I think it's I think there's more complexity to the combat. I don't personally like it. I am undecided as to whether it's objectively better or worse. Because we did have also this conversation, you and I, Steph, about like there are things where I don't like a game, but I admit that that game is objectively good, right? Like by some objective measures. Sure. So I want to separate these two things, right? I'm saying I don't like Silksong. Like I'm confident that the combat. I mean, I don't like the combat in Silksong. I'm confident of that. I'm undecided as to whether or not the combat is better than the combat in Hollow Knight. I know it's more complex than the, in the sense of you have more options. They gave you more tools. There's more things you can do. But does that make it better? I don't know yet. I'm undecided.
Gotcha.
I know that it's popular, and I would argue naive to say that more complex is better. Like sure, that part's true. That there's more complexity, and lots of people say, oh, it's more complex, therefore it's better. Fine, I admit that. I don't know if it actually is better. That's the part where I'm hesitant.
What metric do you use to decide if a game is better?
Yeah, it's sort of descriptivism, right? Like, so when a technique repeatedly proves, or a design decision repeatedly proves popular among players, then I say like, and this technique is quote unquote objectively good. This might be like a different definition of objective that I might use in other contexts, but this is what I mean by objectively good in the context of game design decisions.
So then why would you have evidence or not about Silksong being a good game? Why wouldn't you just poll players?
You can, and in fact, I do use that also as one form of evidence.
Okay.
Like the Steam lets you upvote or downvote games basically in your Steam library.
Yeah.
And Hollow Knight has a higher upvote rating than Silksong.
Right.
I just hear where they say recent review or over English reviews is very positive. 93% of the reviewers said this was positive, And then Hollow Knight, I don't know what the number is, but I think it's bigger. Hopefully it's bigger. It could change at any moment, but it'll be embarrassing for me if it turns out to be lower right now. Yeah, 97 versus 93.
Yeah. Right. So I guess it's interesting to me as someone who does not have alexithymia. Like I'm perfectly comfortable saying that you think Hollow Knight is a better game. You had a better experience during it. You enjoyed it more. It was more enjoyable to watch with you.
Yeah.
We had better conversations during it. you continue to replay it. You had a lot fewer complaints. I remember very few. You would occasionally find parts of the game like annoying, but not because of like you weren't like, oh, the designers made a bad decision here.
Right.
Um, so I'm like, oh yeah, you definitely think like you definitely think Hollow Knight is the better game. I don't have any like
Yeah, I,
hesitation about
I think
that,
it's
and so
because you're
it's interesting.
collapsing two things that I'm making the stick, right? There's the thing is like, do I like it better? And is it better? Which I'm
But
holding as
that's why
distinct.
I'm asking like how you seem to be conflating them when you're making the decision. If better is literally just more popular, then why would you need quote unquote ammunition?
Uh, it's one. So the thing is, there's the popularity of the game, and then there's the popularity of each individual mechanic or decision, right? And so
Okay.
for that latter thing, you would have to look across multiple different games, and see, like, in general, when this decision was made by the game designer, did it make, how well does it correlate with the game becoming popular? The even popular is a little bit difficult because um there are some games which are very popular but not that good, and so I guess I'm wrong when I told you earlier that the way I decide if it's good or not is if it's popular,
Yeah, I don't think
like
it is. I think you're doing
Fortnite
something
and
else,
yeah,
but
exactly.
that's con it's confusing because you're looking at our subjective VODs to decide something quote unquote objective, and I kind of don't know
Well, yeah,
what
that's
you are
so.
trying to do.
So this, let's talk about the missable as a concrete example, right? Where I was just talking about how so many things are missable in Silk Song,
Sure.
and this might be I might be wrong about this, but I'm thinking it's objective that missables that nobody likes missables. Nobody's like, oh, I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to miss this content.
So you're trying to look for features that you think would be universally agreed upon as bad design?
Yeah, but I'm not like specifically seeking them out like that, right? Which the way you phrase it might imply. What I'm doing is
Okay.
I'm observing Silk Song, and every now and then I'll notice something, like they do something, and it'll be sometimes it's good. Like I think there's stuff I probably like about Silk Song, though I can't think of any offhand right now. I mean, it's a good game, right? It's like 93% positive, so it's just sometimes
Right.
hard, like in the moment, to think of things, to compliment about things. But like I'll observe something and I'll say, oh, I didn't notice it until now, but there's so many more missables in Silk Song than Hollow Knight. Like, because like I'll be in the VOD, like I'll notice, oh, I missed something, and I say, hey, actually that's been happening a lot. I've missed something, and then that
Right.
leads to the next. Like there's this chain of thought, right? Basically.
Gotcha. Okay. What would you like me to contribute to this discussion?
I don't know yet. It might just be me lecturing at
Okay.
you, but every now and then sometimes you surprise me, right? You'll say something, and then it's like, oh, I never thought of it that way, and that's also
Okay.
interesting to me. Like even during the quantum immortality discussion, right? When like for lack of a better word, I called your definition of you incoherent, right? And
Yeah.
it surprised me because I like because I perceive it as incoherent. Like I wouldn't have never thought of it that way, basically. And so it's interesting to me that you do think of it that way, and so yeah, like I like hearing you say things like that because it's interesting to me.
Okay. Um, I I noticed that you have so many more complaints about Silk Song.
Yeah,
Um,
um, there's a couple. Sorry, I don't want to go ahead. I shouldn't
Go
have
ahead.
interrupted you.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not sure I was going somewhere interesting. I was trying to be interesting on demand, but I'm not
Okay,
sure if I
okay.
was.
Like I said, one of the things I'm worried about. This is also why I'm uncertain, right? When I say like, oh, maybe Silk Song isn't worse than Hollow Knight. Maybe I'm wrong. And one of the things where I'm concerned about is things like, have I become more jaded over time? Like, am I just more tired these days, right? And so things which I would have tolerated in Hollow Knight, I know I won't tolerate in Silksong anymore, or in any other game in this year, like in 2026
Okay.
versus.
That
And
actually is where I was gonna go.
okay,
So, which is that like my perception of it has been I have also been sort of wondering like, oh, is it just that, mental health, stress, etc. And then I'm like, no, his complaints have been very specific about the game mechanics.
yeah,
And almost always you've contrasted it with Hollow Knight. Like it's not like you said like and not in like a nostalgic way of like, oh, I just really like that, but you've said like I don't like this in this other game it was like this.
yeah,
Um and so I've ruled out the explanation that you're just it's just your state.
okay.
It it
Wait, wait,
feels
wait,
to
wait,
me
wait,
like
wait, wait. I just saw something in the trailer. Let me rewind here. They changed something. This is not how it actually is in the game. The
oh wow.
trailer is not what the game. It's very minor, but here you're approaching this thing from the right going to the left. In the real game, you approach it from
Yeah.
the left going right. They flipped this
Oh weird.
room. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. I just got
No, it's
excited
fine.
about this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I was gonna say is that I've ruled out state explanations that it's just like, oh, you're just in a worse mood, and like if they'd done the same thing in Hollow Knight, you um would have
Fine with it.
tolerated it
Yeah,
because you were in a better mood. And I'm sort of like, no, you're specifically contrasting it with what you
right.
have experienced that you preferred.
The other possibility, although I don't think it applies in this case as well, like these are all just like, logical possibilities, not probable theories, is that over time, like just games in general get better because game developers learn from each other, right? And so the bar gets raised, and then like, things which I would have thought were good, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I no longer think are good. There's that factor
Yeah,
too.
and I think if it were if you were talking about me and I was sort of like, "Oh man, nothing could ever be as good as Hollow Knight," that would be a reasonable possibility. We played Hollow Knight so long ago,
Yeah,
and I haven't played it since, and I didn't have a lot of experience with video games at the time, so it blew my mind at the time, and it could be just like, oh wow, I just imprinted on this. Like sometimes you go back to your favorite movie that you saw as a kid,
yeah.
and you realize like, oh Christ, this
One of
was
the things
actually garbage. Yeah,
one of the things that I keep coming, like every time this old movie thing comes, like I always have this specific example in mind, which is in Ghostbusters. Have you seen that movie?
yeah, I
The
have, yeah,
guy gets a blowjob from a ghost girl in the movie,
yeah,
and I'm like, wait.
yeah.
When I watched the movie, I was like, wait, this happened?
That's
Like, wait, when I don't
freaky.
remember
Yeah,
this. What? Like,
why? Why did that go down? Okay, yeah,
I was like, I just like as a kid, I just did not understand what was happening. I was like, okay,
right.
weird,
Cool. This is a
nonsensical
weird scene, but
scene,
whatever.
and it's
Yeah.
like not even relevant to the plot. So I'm just like, I just forget it, right? I move
Right.
on because it's not salient to me. And then like when I
Yeah.
watch it again as an adult, like not looking specifically for the scene, just like like just randomly for whatever reason through
Yeah.
random. I was like, oh, let's watch this movie. It's like, and then I see the scene comes out. I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like this scene happens?
What the hell? Yeah,
It's like-
exactly. Yeah. Right. And so it would be a reasonable explanation for me, but I don't think it's a very reasonable explanation for you because you do replay Hollow Knight. Like it's possible that it's just nostalgia.
right.
Um, but I don't think that's a very convincing explanation. In fact, I secretly think you dislike Silk Song more than you will let on, and that like the fact that you know so many people like it
Yes, I
makes
think you're
you
right. No,
distrust
what
your
you're
own
saying is
opinion.
true. It's not
Yeah,
just that I distrust; it's that also I hide it a little bit that I dislike
you hide
because
it exactly.
because it's an
Yeah,
unpopular opinion, and you
right,
literally get like downvoted or flamed or whatever if you say that.
right,
Like I have the
exactly.
tentative comments here and there on Reddit, right? Like where and I'll say like it's like yeah, I don't really like the comment in Silk Song. It's like like 100 downvotes,
Right.
like and then
Yeah, exactly.
and the thing is,
oh yeah,
I can do some analysis. Say, well, my comment wasn't very like constructive. There was no content. But then like there will become like I like Silk Song, like 1,000 upvotes. Like no
yeah, right,
constructive
exactly.
comments
Like,
there
no,
either, right?
yeah,
Yeah, like so.
right. And people that you like the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, he does not like this game. And our just chattings have gotten longer and longer, and like sometimes it feels like avoidance of the game. I'm like, oh yeah. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean there
Is
is a
that
fact,
like,
there is that factor, and I agree. I
yeah,
don't like to talk about it because I am hiding it a little bit, but I don't.
right. It
My
it
personality type
for
is
you,
not like it's lying
yeah,
avoidance. So yes, I admit
yeah,
I am doing this, and then I move on to another
right,
topic.
right. But it's just notable. It's also less fun. Like we're having less fun conversations and stuff like that. So that's
Well,
also, I think,
I hope that's not the
evident.
case. I mean, like I don't want that to be the case. So the thing is, like I
Oh, I
will
know.
play bad games,
Right. You
um,
absolutely will.
and because I still find them intellectually interesting from a game design analysis perspective.
Sure. I think it's good evidence that um here's the thing. I think it's objective evidence that the game is not as good.
Yeah.
Is that a person who doesn't watch a lot of video games is having less fun watching this one.
Okay.
I don't know where you add that in. I was kind of being tongue in cheek with objective, but
Right.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I get
Like,
it.
yeah. I'm like, oh, this isn't quite, I don't know. And some of that again might be nostalgia because of how much I loved Hollow Knight and how high my expectations were and all of that
Right.
and that kind of thing. Um, uh, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
so there's, I guess, relatedly, there's something I've been avoiding commenting on, which is comparing the music of Silksong to the music of Hollow Knight. And
Oh,
the reason I'm avoiding is because I can't find anything objective to latch onto. Like I really love the music in Hollow Knight. Like there's so many, like when you walk in the green path or whatever, like all the music for different levels, it's so beautiful.
yeah.
And Silksong to me it's just meh. And like, but the thing is, I don't have anything objective to latch onto to explain why I like the Hollow Knight music and I'm meh on the Silksong music.
Yeah.
And so I just don't bring it up, like like because when I do these analysis, it's not so much so
Right.
that I can like give my opinion. It's because I'm trying to do sort like not really, but sort of like serious academic, ludology analysis on the
Like,
game.
right.
And I don't know enough about music theory perhaps to just comment on that
Yeah.
part. Like even though I have
Yeah.
feelings about it, I don't have the knowledge to contribute to the academic literature on Silksong music.
Right. That's tricky.
Yeah.
I have to say that I haven't played Hollow Knight in, since we played it. So I do feel like Silksong, um, the the I can't remember, but I feel like Silksong has some visually prettier
Yeah, I do think that
set
there's
design.
lots of very like Silk's Hollow Knight is the way to design the world is very monochromatic. So like this place is
Monochrome,
very
yeah.
green, right? And then this place here,
Yeah,
very purple, if you see my thumbnail. This
right.
place very golden. So like every
Yeah,
region has a color and the entire region is that color basically, right? And Silksong
yeah,
doesn't do that. Like Silksong is very
yeah.
colorful. Like you go to a region, there's lots of different colors.
And so it's very, very pretty to watch. I don't know if that's a better experience or not, but it is just beautiful.
Okay. I accept this as data. For me, like it doesn't do any difference to me. Like I don't care
Yeah,
about it. But I like it's useful that you tell me this, and because I
yeah,
like as a data point, right? And if I see like lots and lots of people say they all love beautiful, pretty colors and so on, then I can say okay, so that means objectively, beautiful, pretty colors is good, even though I don't
right,
particularly care for it. I can now
right.
construct and make that one of my constructs, right, when trying to do game analysis.
Yeah,
The other thing about music also is I because I don't have anything objective to latch onto it, I'm open to the possibility that at an objective level, the music in Silksong is not better. It's just the associations, right? It's
yeah,
like for video game music
to know, right?
especially, and I think this is probably true for musicals and operas and things like that. Like you associate the music with the narrative, like with moments in the story. And if a story really touch you, that can make you like the song. Where like if you just heard the song randomly without knowing the associated narrative, it wouldn't do anything for you, right?
Right.
And so I'm saying so maybe that's going
That's
on
possible.
with Hollow Knight, and maybe that's why I like the Hollow Knight music and I don't like the Silk Song music or whatever. But it's tough. I don't know, right?
I feel like, and again, my memory could be not great here, but I feel like you get a little bit more of the characters in the main character's interiority in Silksong.
Yeah, so Hollow Knight is a silent protagonist, right? So, whereas Hornet in Silk Song literally talks, so you can hear what she's thinking, like she says things.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. I want to make sure that I wasn't making that up.
Yeah.
And I think that is interesting for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's better, but I think I like if I'm gonna have dialogue, I think I like having some insight into the character.
Okay.
I don't know. I found the silent protagonist. I think I found that interesting while it was happening, but I might prefer
Okay. That's also a good data point.
knowing a little bit more about knowing what's going on.
I have the opposite preference, but it's which is fine, right? It just it could be that I'm wrong, or it could be that this is a subjective thing, and different people like different things, and
exactly. So I'm just trying to think about what I've been liking about Silksong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's almost all visual, right? I agree, though, that the music is not.
But the thing is, like
you said, it's just
I see, like fine. For example, on TikTok and other places, people are excited about the music of Silksong. They're like, "Oh, I love this song," and they're passionate. And so I'm like, is it an objective thing? Like, is the music good, or is it that narrative association thing where they like the game, which causes them to like the music? Whereas this, like in an alternate universe where they heard that song but they wasn't associated with the game, they wouldn't have liked it, you know. And same thing with me. Like when I listen to the Hollow Knight music in an alternate universe where I didn't know this song was related to Hollow Knight, would I have still liked it? You know.
There's something about the music in Hollow Knight that I found more like more able to get me into a flow state.
Okay.
Whereas I don't like the songs in Silksong, like I could imagine liking it or not liking it, but like I don't feel like it's getting me into the same flow state.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like I could just listen to it endlessly. It feels like I would be listening to a song.
Right.
I don't know if that's helpful. But I've been noticing that. I do like her little dress. I like that she can glide with her little dress.
Yeah.
I
People were doing a lot of memes about that. I think with like Mary Poppins memes I think before Silksong was released, but like they showed it in the trailer, right? So they saw that you can glide like that, and and they thought like it was kind of silly looking a bit. So they anyway.
Oh, I like it. I very much like that part of it. Yeah, interesting. That's it. That's what I have to contribute.
The last thing, the last note I have here is there's a lot of I'm not sure about this. I'm not confident, so I have to replay the game, I think, to check. But I feel like there are situations in Silksong where you're just cheated out of exploration. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if we can find an example. Like, I don't know if we'll find an example specifically of a thing, but I'm just hoping to show a scene that's reminiscent of. Oh my god! But we'll go somewhere, and then there'll be like a dead end with a wall. And there's literally nothing you can do. Like it's just dead end, and but then like now that I'm in Act 3, I go somewhere. Like there's that thing where you there's a scent on the floor, and you're tracking someone by their scent or something like that. Like, and then it leads to that wall, and now the wall's broken open.
Right.
And then you go in there, and then there's the person there, and then and I'm like, well, this is like why? Like this is if this were Hollow Knight, this is supposed to be a game about exploration. Like, so let me go to the dead end wall, hit the wall, find out it's breakable, and then when I break it open, I go there and I see the guys inside. Right? Like I'm being rewarded for exploring. Like that, the game is exploration. Like that's the genre. That's the main appeal. That's why I'm playing it. Right?
Yeah.
So this idea of like there's a wall and you hit it and it doesn't budge. It's not breakable. It's like, oh, I guess it's just decoration. I don't know. And then later on, there's like, aha, look, follow this trail, this scent trail, and here's the secret that you missed. You know, and like, I don't know. It feels bad to me. Like it's like reading a Sherlock Holmes book. And
they don't play fair.
Yeah, they don't tell you, like they're like, try to solve this. It's like, okay, I don't know. And then it's like, there's this like one thing over here that I never mentioned before, and that's how you know that he was the killer. I'm like, well, you never told, like, what? How was that? And so that, I'm feeling that.
I'm literally reading
yeah,
a mystery novel right now that's talking about there was this club that many of the golden age of mystery writers like Agatha Christie were all in, that they took this like little oath about fair play, that the clues had to be available to the reader, that you can't just have this clue that like the detective can't just like get lucky, or there's a twin that you didn't know about the whole time, or that there was a secret passage that was never revealed to you.
Right.
Like it has to be fair, and that's called the fair play
principle or rule or whatever.
Principle. Behind good mystery novels, and I agree that this is violating the fair play doctrine.
Yeah. So that's the thing, like the reason.
I also just feel like we're stuck a lot more. Does that feel true?
Yeah, but I'm worried that this is an age thing, or like I feel like I would have tolerated more in Hollow Knight, and I'm just sort of. It might. I don't know if it's because I'm older or mental health, or it might be because I don't like Silksong as much. I'm less willing to tolerate being stuck.
Yeah. Okay, I'm open to that possibility.
Yeah. But yeah, so
I feel like
the reason I say I have to replay it is that I want to make sure, like I need to see, like, is the wall actually closed and blocked, and you can't go in. Like I want to make sure my assertion is correct before I lobby that criticism, because I'm not sure yet. But
yeah.
Sorry, you're going to say something.
What if you were going to rate them on a numerical scale?
Oh God.
Oh, that's right. You can't really do that. Can
Yeah.
you?
I have Alexa time. Yeah.
That's right. Oh my God. It's so like I know it intellectually, and then like I'll still ask stupid questions like that. Do you remember when you were rating your music collection numerically?
I don't. I mean, I do that, but I don't remember specifically telling you I do that, so I don't know what you're getting at. But
yeah, you had this like system, a 5-point scale system.
Okay.
And you were rating all your music, like listening to each one and then rating it.
Okay. Yes.
You just kept giving everything 3 stars.
No, but that's like
just everything.
No, but that's normal. That's like pun unintended, but now in retrospect, it's normal, right? It's a normal distribution with 3 at the peak, 1 and 5 at the tails.
Yeah, absolutely. Except like 100% of the music all ended up 3, and you just kept. I remember like specifically that you just kind of were like, "Oh, this system isn't working." I think you were trying to weed out ones that you didn't, like get rid of the ones that you gave low ratings to or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just all the same rating, and you were dutifully keeping logs.
I still do that to this day.
Yeah, good.
But I mean, I don't notice myself. Like, I've written my own MP3 player, right? I may have told you about this in the past, and it's like a lot of it is around this whole concept of the archival dream of perfectly cataloging your music, which that I have. And so there was no music player that was perfect for what I want, right? Because it was like deficient in some way of of cataloging the music. And one aspect is this rain thing, and so like I have all these features that are very idiosyncratic and specific to me, which and this sort of gets back at that topic we talked about a long time ago, where I said like in the future when we have AI apps, like the app will evolve specifically like to be idiosyncratic to exactly what you want, right? Then it learns what you like, and so it has these things where it's like, you know, like I want it to auto choose the next song to play for me, and here's my criteria. I want, like, it has to be a song that, you know, you take a sigmoid. You know what a sigmoid thing is? I don't know how popular, if that's a niche or not. Sigmoid line for neuron classification.
Oh, sure. Yes. Sorry, it took me a second to remember.
I don't know what
yes.
that sigmoid has to do with the colon. The digest. I didn't know that it's related. When I search for sigmoid, why do I get this digestive stuff? Anyway,
I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Like it's a sigmoid.
Maybe there's a part of it that's called the sigmoid.
The sigmoid function based on when I last heard it. So like with 0 being about a week ago, right? So like if I've heard it like infinite amount of time ago, like meaning if I've never heard the song before, give it a 1. If I heard it a week ago, give it a 0.5. If I heard it like 1 second ago, give it a negative, or give it a 0, I guess. Right? Okay. And then so that's part of the score, but also look at the rating, but also look at the artist and then take the average of all the ratings that artist has, but also look at the album and take the average of all, and then combine to get this formula, and then use that to choose which song to play next. And, like you know, all these crazy specific criteria and these algorithms and all that, and so that's what my music player does.
Gotcha.
And it also says so.
Except then you just give everything a 3. So what?
Well, no, I've been getting lots of 4s and 5s actually recently because my algorithm works. Okay. It's finding the things that I like. It's, I'm trying to think. Why would I even search for? So there's a lot of apps, and my app has something like this too, where it has a list of songs, right? Like, so it puts the songs in the queue, and then it says, okay, I'm playing this song now, I'm playing this song now, I'm playing this song, and so on, right? And then I have like these stars here, right, where I can like they're grayed out, and then I click on them, and then like become gold or whatever to say it's 3 out of 5 or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And so the other thing is like, okay, so when you're picking the next song, like, so I gave all that formula, right? But also look at the recency. Like, have I been listening to like a bunch of 3s recently? If so, put in a 5, to break it up, and like, so like, I'm sort of marveling at how complicated and specific I can make my music player tailor to my taste of, do exactly what I want, right? And
yeah,
and it's just amazing to me that this is something that one can do now with AI.
But it is pretty amazing.
And because we talk about a lot. Well, I don't know if you and I, Steph, have talked about a lot, but I think on the discourse on here has talked a lot recently about abundance and how like things that we take for granted today is absolutely like beyond imagination from peasants from the medieval age or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I like one
or the me that exists in a lot of other universes,
right?
Yeah.
Like an example I often use is I think like not a typical day, but like in a I don't know 90 percentile, 80 percentile day, I could listen to like 100 songs, right? And I feel like
sure,
if you were a king and you had like a court appointed bard, the bard would know like at most 50 songs or like that. So in your lifetime, you would have heard like 50 songs.
Right. Like we all routinely do things that kings could have only dreamed of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so now like with this AI thing where the AI makes the app exactly what I want, I feel like I'm doing things where like 6 months ago I could only have dreamed of, like
yeah.
So that's how crazy it is now. Like
it is crazy cakes right now. I agree with you about
like
that.
Even like this thing, let me bring it back. Yeah, this thing, right? The National Food Recall. I'm like, I'm watching TikToks and I'm like, I want a site. I want a site that does this for me. And then like in an hour, bang, here it is. Like I'm like, what? Like
this previously could have been an app that sold, that took months to develop and that like sold for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You could have sold it to the FDA or whatever, and now you're like, I vibe coded this and
and just give it for free, and like because like it costs me basically nothing to make, so whoever else wants it, here you go.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
If you could actually do something so that I wasn't eating glass, that would be pretty cool. But
It's
yeah, no, that's crazy.
yeah, I mean, like right now the limitation is poverty of imagination, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because like I did this thing, and then like I'm like, okay, so now whenever I watch a TikTok, I'll add it, and then it took my friend asking me like, how do you update this to for me to answer, say, oh yeah, I whenever I see a TikTok, like in answering him, I realize I don't have to do this.
Oh,
Yeah, I could just
right.
have the AI do it for me, and then
Yeah. And what's amazing is that like I was using this thing that you're doing as an example in another conversation that I was having about um, you're now the bottleneck,
yeah,
like that you like tell
I can't
AI like
want things
just
fast
come up
enough.
with
Yeah, for it to satisfy me. I'm like,
right. Yeah, and you have to read the stupid email updates that it sends you every day that you're just like, oh man, I don't want to know. Like, I don't
yeah.
want to try and keep up with the stuff you're doing. Like, that's crazy.
Let me try to show you what it looks like. I don't know if okay, so here's the source code for it. It's open source. I published it open source because I mean, like I said, it's free. So what do I care if somebody else takes it and
Why
copies
not?
it?
Yeah.
So what it does is it automatically. Oh wait, why does it say closed? Oh wait, maybe it's pull request. Oh yeah, okay, here 18. So these are 18 things that the CSS bot did this, bot did this.
Yeah.
And what it does is if I click on it, it says, here's what I found. Like I said on August 12th, La Colonia Food recalls cottage cheese, FDA, Listeria. And it says, I also rejected these as not important. This is the one I was talking about, like 18 bottles of root beer or something like that. Yeah, 7 bottles of root beer.
Yeah.
And rejected as insignificant. And then
Yeah.
it shows me the code. Like it says, here's the code I added about the FDA, like the cheese recall. And then all I do, I don't know if it'll show somewhere. It probably won't show because I already did it, but I just click approve. I'm like, yeah, looks good. Click, and then it updates the website, like once with the new information.
Yeah.
So I get emails. I say, hey, your bot added this thing. So I click the email. It takes me to this website. I read this. I read the code that it added. I say, yeah, looks good. Like I'll check the links. I say, okay, is this real or did it hallucinate? Right? I just open this and retab.
Yeah.
And I say,
but you're the bottleneck on
real.
it.
So approve, and then bang, and now it's on the website. Yeah. and I'm the one. Like if I'm lazy, I don't approve them, then it doesn't show up on the website. Like, but
yeah, that's so, I don't know, disturbing, fascinating, horrifying.
Yeah.
Worse than the multi-universes thing. All right. Yeah. As per usual, we made no progress on the game.
That's fine. All right, Steph. See you later.
All right.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Bye. Interact, play. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. That was just chatting, I guess. The category was set to the Silk Song, but we just did just chatting today. Regular schedule is top left corner of the screen. Every Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. That's about 2.5 hours going your time zone. We've got the Steph Thursday streams where we're supposed to be playing Silk Song for the foreseeable future. Every Saturday, 6 p.m. Pacific. That's about 4 hours to go in your time zone. We got the Solo Saturday stream where I play random games for my review queue. We got the Discord. Join the Discord for updates to the schedule and any announcements for off-schedule streams. Let's see, Thursday. So tomorrow, Friday, we are playing 13 Mascot with Lexerbeth. Saturday, we were playing Haneko's Flower Shop with Twilight Siren, and then I'll be posting the updated schedule after that. So look forward to that. And yeah, I think that's it. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of the cat parade while the Chris on the raid.
Desde que hemos en su